To say yes, when the police are overwhelmed, our last resort is to bring in the military is the correct statement to make.
Right.
But the question to ask is whether the problem that erupted at Manya Krobo is one that clearly overwhelmed police, for which reason we needed to bring in the military.
The people have been pardon the interjection, have been vandalizing property belonging to the ECG, belonging to the state, so to speak, belonging to all of us, and we've seen pictures of some of those. Would that warrant this action?
Vandalism per se is not an issue, or if you like, an act of indiscipline which should necessarily overwhelm our police service. I don't think so. Oftentimes, what we see is an attempt by the state to use the military to intimidate, to harass, to use brute force to contain such situations. I do not think that acts of vandalism should overwhelm our police service. I don't think so. By their training, I think our police are able to contain some of those riotous behavior by people, or if you like, citizens of our country. We are too quick to deploy the military, and I must confess that the military itself is not happy with that development. At the least provocation, we are quick to call in the military. Even when the police themselves are able to deal with the situation, we bypass the police and bring in the military. So I think we need to review how and when we deploy the military to take over policing duties in this country. Look, what have been our experiences? Whenever the military have been brought in or co-opted to partake in policing duties, the results have, in most cases, not been palatable. We saw that happen in Pichiman. There were deaths. Would you, by any stretch of imagination, say, in the case of Pichiman, when there was some misunderstanding with regards to the declaration of results, it was appropriate to deploy the military in those circumstances? Clearly, the police were not overwhelmed, but we brought in the military for reasons best known to we ourselves, and we saw the result. Ejura. In Ejura, was it appropriate to call it the military? There was total chaos, misunderstanding between the operatives when they even appeared before the ministerial committee that Prof himself was a member of. We saw when they said they needed more personnel, in that sense, they simply wanted more reinforcement. It didn't necessarily mean that they wanted the military to intervene and take over policing duties in the Jura. Now, the results in the Jura were very clear for all of us to see. Once again, we recorded needless death, loss of life. So I think we need to be very clear in our mind that most often the military is deployed in circumstances that would usually not require their immediate deployment. What we cannot deny is that when the police are overwhelmed, even in disaster situations, we call in the military to intervene because we believe they are more resourced. For instance, if you're talking about disasters, they have access to the Navy and all that. And so if it's about flooding situations and so on, they are better equipped to make some interventions here and there. But we need to be circumspect in the way and manner we deploy our military. Like